Alkabas, hello to you too. We are at the graduate show every Wednesday. Today is a lightish show. We only have 16, which, I needed a break. The other weeks were like hundreds. I was a 30 some, and it was too much. I was losing my mind by the end. I broke it up into 2 days often. So let's get into it. We're going to call him Karen Z. And he says, finally, my first graduation, joined the dojo in September, and have been following most of the advice since. Sometimes he forgets to log. I feel I would have graduated a lot sooner if it wasn't for one thing. I hadn't been playing rated games. I was doing all the puzzles and books recommended, but instead of playing classical games, I was playing daily games. Lots and lots of daily games. I had 30 plus going at a time. This didn't help me progress at all. I got to a point where I've done all the tasks, but my rating was nowhere near graduation. So when the new year came around, I decided to resign all my ongoing daily games and focus on live games. Signed up to the Lead Chess Lone Wolf League to get a classical game in each week and started playing 10-minute games on ChessCom to try and grind my rating so I could graduate. Now I'm obsessing about my rating as I get close to graduating. I fully annotate my lead test games and just do the ChessCom review for my rapid. Something that has really amazed me from doing so many puzzles is how I can now not only spot but set up forks and discovered attacks, etc. Baby steps, I know. At some point, I'm going to start using my e-board to play my games, maybe switch to 1510. As my long-term goal is to set a real ECF, English Chess Federation, OTB, and a 15-year plan to get a National Master title. Then play Entitled Tuesday when I'm retired somewhere sunny, not Northern England. I find sitting at a board so different for recognizing patterns compared to the online games. Okay, Karen Z, this is great. So let's go see Karen Z. So he started July 25th. He's nearly 40. He's dreaming about getting to the NM title. Great. Now, I would say, Karen Z, that it is, when you talk about, you use the word baby steps, I feel like I have been doing this a long time, and I have listened to so many people have like huge, outrageous goals. And I really think that you should create more bite-sized goals first. So for example, you to get to Dojo 600, so 850 ChessCom, you might feel that that's just a chump goal. Okay? But if you get there in a couple months, that would be a good thing to have. Just be like, all right, I want to get there in 3 months, something like that. I think that's achievable, right? Okay. So in general, I want to say, yeah, just dial down the big ones. You can make progress, and as you make progress, what the atmosphere up there is like will become a little bit more clear. What's the rating for NM? Generally, NM is going to be 2200 USCF, so about 2200 Dojo 2. Okay. Nowadays, NM is a title that was a US title for years. The Soviets were using this candidate master thing, which is now, and both of those things are kind of floating around in the outer world. By that I mean in the more not nation specific world. Like FIDE has adopted a candidate master title. Okay, so Karen Z, great, you're doing great work. I can tell that from December especially, you really started logging it more religiously. So that's great. We're going to go look. Maybe we're going to follow him here. And I was hoping to find where he's in somewhere in Northern England. Maybe he could tell us where he is. Maybe make a club. And oh my God, he's got 1,000, 1,000 games. Now, we've had a real problem getting people to put their games into my games. And this person, I don't know how he even did it, but as far as I can tell, he got rid of his My Games folder. Am I losing my mind? I don't see a My Games folder. So, this is a real crisis for me. It's mostly me. The other people at the dojo don't understand why it's so critical. Basically, everybody needs a folder where they put their games. And so I'm going to report this profile to our tech guy and be like, see? See? There's somebody who doesn't even have a My Games. Oh, it's very distressing. And for me, as someone now, I don't know where I should go. I have no idea where I should go here. Let's try this one. All right, this is a recent game. All right, so reasonable time usage. All right. Now, this move is a mild mistake. For your level, it's not that big of a deal, but the reason it's a mild mistake is since you can't attack the queen, it's not that bad for white to have developed the queen. Okay. Okay. Poor. The queen doesn't want to be on the back rank, wants the rooks to ultimately to be connected. So like queen c4 comes to mind. Poor move, not developing. And now white blows it. Could have had queen h5 check now. In general, well, actually, let's give the spiel, everybody. For you to make it to 1,000 dojo, that's 1250 ChessCom, you need three things, okay? You need to develop a grip on the board. That means not hanging stuff. You need to use your time. At least in this game, it looks like you're using your time. And finally, number three, you need to develop your pieces. So h6, no bueno. Same problem with white, queen d1, undeveloping the queen. You got a little lucky. Poor move. Did you take it? Yeah, buddy, give me that. Fine. Fine. There's no need to be fancy here. After you win that queen, no reason to be fancy. Fine. Killing him. Killing me softly. And one of the things we want to say, okay, is that you will have mini games like this where this first thing that we're talking about on your path, right, is taking the free stuff. And it's about developing a grip on the board, seeing what is attacking what. As you get better, the development factor will become more important. But for right now, you should be able to take down everybody around this rating just by taking the free stuff. Okay, so my games are games. Let's continue. Next up, we have Ajeeves. What does Ajeeves have to say? Ajeeves doesn't say anything, but he just joined. So, Ajeeves got any clubs? Oh, he's got loads of clubs. He's somewhere also in the UK. And see, there's the typical My Games folder. Here's a game. All right, so we'll mark this. We'll see here. Very quick game as well. He's playing black. Okay. So far, so good. All right, fine. And notice you're already up a little bit of time. Now, a little bit hard to find a plan here for black. I like queen e7, you play knight e4. So notice that really you lost a tempo there. Lost a tempo there. That's a bad move. Whack! Nice. And here you had to play queen a4, because now you're going to get him. c6, and now c5. It's at this point that my opponent, with more than 20 minutes on their clock, allows their time to run out. Oh, that is a bummer. But we have to say, your position is amazing. You're going to open up against their king. One question I have is, if you had done it this way, no, I take it back because he can take this. I want to trap the queen, but he can always take our bishop. Okay, so your way was fine. So, Jeeves, welcome to the dojo. You're doing great. He's also gone up to 5,600, and now we have Gab, and he loves the structure of the program. Thank you very much. Whoa, Kraai. Oh, what have I done? Oh, no. Okay, I don't know how that was. I don't know what that was. Oh, there's a whole thing. I didn't even know there was a thing here where you can open link and split view. That's a new thing for me. I didn't know about Alcabaz says, wait, there's a game review too. Well, that's right, Alcabaz. So yeah, every time you graduate, Far Eastern says, Jesse, review your latest classical game. That's right. So here we got Gab joined, looking pretty good. And New York City. Oh, I'm going to New York City, I think, dude. Here we go. I'm going to New York City on the 28th, I think. I haven't fully committed yet, but I think I'm going on the 28th. We got another quick game here. People just slaying these people. Here we have Gab. So fine move so far. Fine. You're doing great. And now knight g5. So the problem with knight g5 is, of course, that it's not a developing move. It is kind of an interesting question of what to do, though. It's not immediately clear how you should play the position now. Maybe c4, excuse me, maybe c4 is a thought. h6, e4, it's gotten a little spicy. And what's happened is we've just lost a pawn. And the rook got developed. So we're definitely in situation oh no. Situation oh no. Knight f3. He pushes you away. Uh-oh. Yeah. And he plays knight h7, which may be not a bad move. Now you say you didn't check for check, but the bigger issue here is I think you're done. I do think you're done in this position. Maybe h4 is better. Your opponent finds an amazing move. Check to the miserable king. Snip. And he finds this move. Dang, bruv. Now what we have to say about knight without armor is he is rated higher than you. And this, by the way, this is what when you do the puzzle rush, this is one of the standard tricks that they have going on. So, yeah. Now, I want to highlight something for you here. You're playing a higher rated player, first of all. Okay? You did fine up until here where it starts going bad because you don't develop your pieces. So I want to stress that. That's how things will go bad, in your chess. Okay, well done. Let's continue. Next up, we have Saleh McBalls. Whose balls? These balls. When I first started taking chess seriously, the first thing I knew was that I needed a plan that I could stick to. Because after all, a goal without a plan is just hopes and dreams. And action without structure is just noise. And so I prepared a file that housed everything I would need to do to graduate from novice school to amateur school. Then I printed that file in A4 paper that I would always keep in sight. A few days later, I discovered the dojo. It's too early to tell, but it looks like everything I need as a developing chess player. What I like about it is that the training plan is not a gimmick or some fast-track way to success. It's you putting in the work. Gives me hope about the efficacy of the dojo, because if you do all the work and don't cheat yourself, I really don't see how you wouldn't improve. My favorite thing the dojo has introduced me to is annotating my own games. Annotating my games is both fun and beneficial. If only everything was like that, right? No matter, I march on. Also, Sensei, look at the game between me and, let's call him Kanai, in the My Games. It was a very fishy game where my opponent ended up with more time than he started with. We'll talk about that. And still had me on the ropes. My guess is that the guy creates new accounts to play classical games against weaker player, but plays them like their blitz game as some kind of ego thing. Okay, here we go. So this is Saleh McBalls. McBalls. How many times are you going to say it, buddy? So he's an engineering student from Saudi Arabia. He's got the ADHD. All right, beautiful. Now he's going straight up here. 649. Now, do we have a Saudi Arabia club? We got the Arab Dojo. Okay, great. Now, I want to say, Saleh, if you could create a Saudi dojo, maybe that's maybe that's what's involved with the Arab Dojo. But The Arab dojo is obviously a bigger thing, and that's cool, but we want, I want something more localized there as well. Okay, so now there's a guy named Chennai or something here. Let's go look. There he is. Against McBalls. All right, first, actually, we'll mark it as reviewed and we'll keep this open. Yeah. So one of the things for us to see, for Soleil and everybody else watching this, is, especially if you play online, you are going to play a lot of people who don't know how to think. And they're not moving fast because they're geniuses. They're moving fast because they actually can't concentrate. And it's easier when you can't concentrate to just make impulsive decisions. And so one of the things that we've seen over the years of the dojo is that in order for these players to progress, you included, you need to be able to use your time. So we created this time management rating. Now, maybe he is a genius, like you're saying, and doing some weird account stuff. Probably not. Probably not, though. He's probably just some guy who can't think. And he might be very talented, but he hasn't learned to think yet. Okay. So far, so good. Fine. Fine. Good. Now, one of the amazing things is you are now playing established theory here, and it's hot. I played this when I was a kid, and it is very spicy. So here we go. Castles. And now knight c3. In general, I think that's considered a mistake. But for your level, I don't want you to think of it as a mistake. You should probably understand it more as like you fell into like an opening trap. All right, so here we go. This followed by d5 is what we'd like to do. And in fact, I don't want to get too detailed here, but the kind of critical question is that one. And we got ourselves a full mess here. The point really is that white wants to stop black from playing d5. Okay, here we go. Boom, boom. And I think maybe d5 is your best bet here, just to block the bishop out from messing with you. All right, so now he plays queen b3. And you take it. Now, by the way, back in the day when I did this, I would always play bishop a3. So I'm not convinced yet of queen b3, which he plays immediately. Took. And now he went here. I think he's playing too fast. And now you play g6. So timeout. I think he's blown it. What move do we need? d5. Thank you very much. Blocking the business. I think you're winning here. I don't think he's done himself a favor. I don't think he's done himself a favor. Okay, so one of the things we want to say here is the guy had this opening, didn't actually understand it, wasn't able to think during the game, and he needed to because it's definitely a very complicated position. And then you got flustered by how fast he was moving, and this move here, g6, you played very quickly. And now I think we're probably toast. Yeah. You played rook f8. I think for my money, I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of money here, but I would take this guy. And if he takes, you sack the queen and try to live. So I don't understand rook f8. Again, you're moving too fast here. See, the guy's moving too fast. And even here, bishop e7, you're still surviving, and you're magically surviving. All right, he blew it. Now you're winning. Fine. That's fine. Fine. Now, here, I want to stress, you've got 20-second increment, And you are winning this position, but you're moving too fast for my sensibilities, let's say. Because there's no rush. Now, rook e8. I don't understand that. Why don't we just take this pawn? The bishop communicates with the pawn over here. Notice you played rook e8 in 38 seconds. So what's important to understand is that you became guilty of the crime that your opponent is themselves doing here. Moving too fast. And I would say it's a key skill for people at your level to understand. So anybody watching this. So the point is, when you're going to play people like this chump who move way too fast, and it's gonna feel like either they're a genius. You actually had that impression. This man is not a genius. And you are gonna be intimidated by the fact that they're moving so fast, when actually they're just making bad moves. Because you know what? Chess is about thinking. It's about thinking, my friends. Okay. We're still winning. All right, this should be easy peasy lemon squeezy. Good. All right, I don't know what he's doing. Push him, baby, push him. Good. Then the scumbag finally resigns. Yeah. So again, he had a little opening prep that he didn't understand. That's why we shouldn't be studying opening prep at this level. Yeah. You won. You should have won. Because this guy's a chump and he's not thinking. That's the issue, man. That's what's going on. All right, McBalls. Thank you for joining the dojo. I think you're going to make a lot of progress. I think I'm going to see you back on this show. Next up, we got William. All right, William just joined as well. Ponziani, enjoyer by night. In general, we don't want you even knowing the names of the openings yet. All right, but he's got up to 729. No clubs yet. Tell us where you are, William. So, we got one here. This is Anselmo. All right, so there we see a more typical graph of what we usually see in the graduation show. People moving way too fast. So you see, McBalls was just the chump guy you were playing. All right, let's review this thing. Get into it. A little passive, but okay. 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 Poor, not developing. What do we want you to do? We want you to castle. Helping Black's bishop out. Poor, not developing. Fine. Not developing, but okay, we take it. Fine. Fine. D5. Well, you got a threat. And look at this chump. He thought for 33 seconds and didn't even consider queen d6. Give me that. Goodbye. And he finally resigns. One of the mean jokes sometimes people say is, "Oh, he resigned when he lost his queen." You know, what are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? This guy didn't use any of his time, really. Okay. So, well done to William here. Welcome to the dojo. Now we got Far Eastern, who is in the chat. Thank you very much. He is in the chat. He says, it's been an eventful first year of using the dojo. I didn't continue with the program from October to January due to lack of finances, but I want to resume it again. I think I played too many classical games last year and was too caught up in filling up my heat map. I ended up not analyzing most of my classical games and was overwhelmed. Since I heard from the last grad show that Jesse wouldn't review a game that was too old, okay, I played a more recent 30-0 game last week. My goal now is to be more consistent in playing, analyzing, and working on everyone's first chess workbook while still getting in enough OTB. Time management is still an issue for me. Okay, so here's Far Eastern. There he is. I think he is graduated, his second graduation. And let's just pop this out. So yeah, you can see that his break over there that he took. But in general, he's coming back, looking pretty good. If you look at his ratings graph, You can also see that the stagnation there corresponded, I think, pretty clearly with that thing where he wasn't working too much, and now he's back on the path. So that's real nice. Okay. Remind me to do tactics and endgame drills and to make a move. Okay. Good. So we're looking for first we'll go clubs. Great. Oh, he's out there in Singapore. Great. Okay. My games. And we got a game. Good. Yeah, in general, I don't want to do games that are too old. True. And I definitely don't want to do fast time control games. And remember, in the dojo, we say that the higher rated you are, the longer the games need to be. So at your level, 30-0 is fine. But I think it's when you get up to 800, we're saying minimum. You need to be doing 30 plus 30. All right, so we'll mark this. And, oh, look at that bad boy. Now, Far Eastern might have a little time management issue, like he said. And I very much encourage him to play longer games. Play a 30 plus 30. Okay, so we're going to leave the time open, and we'll see how this goes. Okay, fancy. Good move. Good move. Bishop d3. Weird. And now you took on e4. All right. Knight c6. Good move. Now, I have to say, if I was going to be upset by de4, it's that this bishop is a real nasty dude. He's in the way of the pawn, so I don't want to help him move at all. I never want that guy to move. Still, though, I gotta believe in your position after de4 here. He takes with the bishop, and yeah, honestly, it's pretty funky business. All right, you take, and then you steal the pawn. Okay. Now, the question really is, should we be taking pawns? Yeah. I still like your position. Knight f3, bishop e7, okay. d4, and now you play bishop f5, which is probably okay. I love your position. If you wanted to be ambitious, I thought you were going to play g5. I thought that was your intention. It's going to be very hot, though, after g5. Your move is very sensible. And now we can't do g5 because of knight f6. You say you like white better? I don't know. I like black. I don't like this move, though. Because, see, he's got a problem with his queen basically being on a victim square. So knight c6 and rook e8, you choose your move order, you're going to be doing great. All right. So bishop e4. This releases the drama for white. Now you played rook e8. And maybe he could play queen b7. Maybe, but that would be very ambitious. There's going to be questions on queen b7. You don't like that, and now you play c6. Now, maybe c6, but I would rather you develop the knight, like knight c6. I want you to develop. Okay. And you talk about g4. I think, well, I don't know. Well, if we were looking at it from white's perspective, I would want to spend a little time here. So, I don't know about g4. It doesn't make too much sense. I think if you're going to play h4, you want to try to line up knight g5 at some point. But obviously, the bishop gets to take the knight right now. So, I don't know. There's a lot of different moves that white could consider. All right, h5. Good. Now you played knight d5. Maybe that's okay. A safe move would be queen d5. Knight d5. Queen f5. I don't know what he's doing. Okay. You said, thank you very much. And now h6. Definitely needs to play a move like king b1. He goes g4, And you said, give me this business. And we have ourselves an interesting endgame. You call it equal. Maybe. Maybe. All right. Rook df1. Poor move. Yeah. So either d5, rook d2, rook he1. These are the things that immediately come to mind. Maybe you could make h6 work somehow. I don't know. So poor move, good. And now you say thank you for the pawn. I hope you said thank you. And now you played rook f8. So you talk about rook e8. Yeah, so the default moves that come to mind here are move rook to an open file. Right? Those are the ones that come to mind. Now, is it that bad though, really? I still think you have the advantage. I don't understand. Why don't we just take on g4? What are you doing, Mr. White? Thank you very much. Oh, that was a bad one. Here you just play king g7. You're still on top. You're going to win the pawn on g4. That didn't make any sense. Why didn't he take the rook, the business? Oh, there, because you're going to mate him. Oh, no. Now we got grief. And, right, now you're at this 30-minute situation. And now you're in a little trouble. Notice that here you need to go to king e6. And here king f6. And now I think you're probably lost. Yeah. Okay. Whew. So good game. Notice that this player you would have beaten if you had more time. Notice also that we're talking a lot about time usage, right? Notice that the second it got to the end game, they started playing too fast themselves because the end game's hard and they're tired, but also because they saw that you were in a little time pressure and they thought it'd be a good idea to press you in that time pressure, right? I very much encourage you to play with an increment, Far Eastern, or a longer game, you know? There's no need for you to play as short as 30. Okay. So, I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be right back. All right, my friends, we're back. And, oh, Dr. Pop is here. Nice. So, Dr. Pop is a famous member of the dojo. He helps run the Late to Chess podcast. He is also in what we're calling the Morphe Game and Review group. They've got a beautiful group. And they were the ones, honestly, they started working together before we officially had the live classes. And they were working so well together. It was such a cool group. I was like, dude, we need to make this like dojo wide. We need to, make this an institution. And so that's what we've done. So if you see this thing up at the top where it says live classes, that's what we have going on over there. And if someone's in the live classes, it'll give some information here about them. And then this is the games that are being reviewed in their group. Okay, so games. We will review a lot of this when we've gone over his profile. But I just want you guys to see the man is committed. The man is on a mission. And look at this rating graph, dude. One of the things I want to say about Dr. Pop, he's been playing some good games. I've seen it. But you can see here, it's just going up now. It'd be really cool for him to break 1,000 dojo. That's a real achievement. And I think he's probably underrated at this point because a lot of the games that he's playing with other people in his group. And those people are all just playing each other, see? So they're getting better, but since they're playing each other, that no one's actually rating is going up. But when he plays those poor chumps, he's just killing them. His USCF will take a little bit to catch up, but I'm sure it will. All right, clubs. He's in my 50-plus club. We had the Endgame club, right? Never too late. Am I in this? I want to make sure I'm in this club. No, I'm in that club. You guys can join that too. The Heat Map Heroes, the Coconut Club, yeah, buddy, and the West Virginia Dojo. He's over there in West Virginia. Not too far from me. Not too far from Maryland. Maryland extends way out there. Okay, so let's see if we got some games here. And now, this is going to be against Arando, so that'll be interesting for us to look at. And you can see that Dr. Pop, one of the things we've worked on is that time graph, and you can see he's doing it. Now, Dr. Pop, I got to yell at you a little bit here, bud. You are no longer allowed to play 30-0, okay? We're going to cover this game, but you are now high enough rated that you must be doing at least something like 30-30. In fact, let's open your thing in a different tab and just show what we mean. So if we go training plan and we go games and analysis and we click on, where's the games and analysis, bro? So we click on this one. Under 800, the minimum time control is 30-0. And now you are above 800, my friend. So that is your minimum right there, 30-30. Okay, so here's Dr. Pop Pop. We're going to go the full game review button. I bet I have to make a Jadoob. So Jadoob. Oh, shoot. Jadoob, 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 Jadoob. Oh. Good. So we'll look at this game the official way. Fine moves. Now, one of the things I want to stress about Dr. Pop Pop is he's just developing. He's not trying to be a genius. He's just developing. And here, definitely, we want him to move the bishop out to either f4 or g5, e4. He locks it in with the sad e3. But notice, he's developing. He's developing. He's developing. What does his opponent do? Opponent doesn't develop. Stronger move for black would have been e5 to get this bishop out. Now we have a little bit of a choice. He goes bishop b5. Would have been interesting to play e4 himself now. Open up this bishop. Okay. a4. Interesting position. So now notice black is going to completely lose their mind here and play knight e8, not developing. Not only that, but it looks like it's losing a pawn. Now, the controversial thing about taking this pawn on b5, Dr. Pop Pop, is we are not, well, we want to at least double check that we're not getting pinned in some nasty, nasty way here. Okay, so let's get into it. Boom. By the way, if this doesn't work, a move that makes a lot of sense would be e4. Boom. Queen b6, bad move. The scary thing for us would be bishop a6. And then I'm a little concerned that we're not getting out of dodge here. See, like, let's say we play bishop a4. Now, maybe c4 is the way to go. But you can see I'm a little nervous about things falling apart here. Okay, so queen b6, mistake. And now, yeah, you've won a pawn. Go take that thing. Go take it. Bishop a4. And that scares me. Now, definitely like a move away, or he might be able to get away with bishop a6 immediately. Scaring me. Look, that's a pin. Oh, take it. Take it. Good move. b3. What are we doing? I'm not quite sure. Good. Fine. Fine. Good. Good moves. Good. Good. Now you got these brutal pawns, and we're touching a5. Bad move. Helping your rook, giving you the open file. Bishop b4. All right, so this is his intention. And now you're going to play rook d1. One of the things we're seeing, by the way, from black is that black is moving way too fast. Oh, I just realized, too, I'm off the screen. Bring me back, Kraai. Bring me back. There we go. Oh, all right, it's been a long day, so I'm allowed a little relaxation here. Okay, so rook d1's a little weird because the bishop's already defended by the knight. And so let's think about this in terms of development. This knight is at least looking at some interesting squares. This knight's doing some things. Who's not developed? Our king. So our default move here should be king f1. All right, rook d1. He takes with a knight. And I like this. Good. Now black should keep it locked down with a move like knight b4, but he doesn't. And now please tell me you played king f1. Okay. Please tell me you played king f1. No. Please tell me you played king f2. No. I don't know what we're doing, and now that pawn's going to start moving. King f2, Dr. Pop Pop. Oh, no. Look at his king's getting active, bruv. King f2, finally. Now this happens. Okay. a3, check, mate. Check, mate. Welcome to the dojo. I still don't have my business here quite right. How come I'm still, I guess I'm so far away. That's a beauty there, Dr. Pop Pop. That's a framer right there. I'm going to frame that one. All right, we'll go back grad show. That was great, Dr. Pop Pop. If you guys are interested in the live classes, you just hit that tab there. Beautiful thing. All right, we got only 16 people today, but we got a ways to go still. Up next, we got Tom K. Tom doesn't tell us much. He says, adult learner in earlier years played only on rare occasions and never learned a thing. Then in July 25, he starts to get serious. Okay. He's gone up 100 points since joining the dojo, not being religious about marking his activities. Let's see if we got a game or so from Dr. He's not a doctor, he's Tom. Okay, so this is not an annotation. We want more than that. Let's see if we got anything else. Again, not an annotation. Lots of colors. I don't know how all the colors got there. Right. So I realize it's hard the first time we do an annotation. It's like, what are the questions to even ask, right? Hopefully, there's a variety of ways to learn how to annotate, but just looking at other players who have done annotations themselves, who are at your level, is a good thing. We published a book called How to Analyze Your Games, but also we published those games on the dojo site of the good annotations per cohort group, right? All right, so welcome to the dojo, Tom K. Hopefully we can get a review going soon. So, all right, go back, Jesse. Don't get distracted. Don't get distracted. You can do it. You can do it, buddy. Next up, we got Pav. My cousin's name is Pavlos. Maybe Pav is short for Pavlos. I don't know. So Pav joined a while back, but hasn't been really logging anything. He's up to 1020. Pav PhD. Okay. No game, no clubs. Do we got some games? Nothing. So Pav, you've been with us for a while. I'm hoping to see a little bit more. I'm hoping to see a little more here. Next up, we have Jarko's back. I remember Jarko. Jarko says, really excited to break through the 1,000 mark. Have been disciplined with tactics and game analysis study the past few months. Happy to have it show in the rating game. Beautiful. Now, one thing we want to say about Jarko is when you pop it out, you can see that beginning of the year, the man had a New Year's resolution, and he's really been going at it. Graduated a bunch of times, too. He got very serious. 1,000 is a really nice threshold for players. I feel, it doesn't happen automatically at once or anything, but 1,000 dojo, so 1250 chess comp, is a interesting barrier because I feel like that's the spot where games aren't necessarily decided by just somebody hanging some stuff. So the strategic element begins to play a deciding role. Strategy is always important, but if you have players who are hanging stuff, then the strategy isn't going to be a significant determinant because the games will be decided by people hanging stuff, right? Okay, so congratulations. Someone says sound is low. Can someone give me a confirmation of that? Yes or no? And then we also have a question from Charles anyone know when the graduate show is for 1600 plus? Well, probably that's today. Now, sometimes I break up the show because there's too many people. So I do a second show on Thursday. But today we're going to do it today. And right now, what are we at? We're at the 1,000 mark. All right, so this is Jarko. Let's go see if Jarko's got some games. Loads of games. Here's Sorta Steve. No, I think Sorta Steve might be Jarko. Here's our time graph. And can we just reiterate what we've been talking about? These people, we see it every week. We see it every week. They can't think. They cannot think. All right, so here we go. I'm going to leave the time graph up just so we can see the extent of it. All right, knight c6. e5 is interesting. Takes. Okay, so we've transposed. I think e5 is the important question there for white. Good. Poor. And I like your note a lot. Notice what he says. c5 gives up control of d5 and greatly improves his knight. So the key thing to observe is that this pawn is really killing the knight on c3 at the moment. Once you play c5, that knight all of a sudden has a life of his own. Good. Okay. b3. I think we blundered actually here with, couldn't he have played snip, snop, and crop? Looking at our business. We could have played bishop b6, but yeah, actually we could still play bishop b6. It's not lost, and if bishop b5, we'll just scooch it. Okay, so my bad. Poor move, not developing. Also, as you highlighted, put the knight in c3 in troubles. Good move. Poor move, not developing. So bishop b7 and knight d7, good move. Yeah, very good move. We got a question. Voilento Wegamal. I'm DW Roth in the dojo. Okay, great. Maybe he's coming up today. So right, bishop b7. This, by the way, is a position where we could talk about how a lot of players go wrong with development, where you're just naturally making a developing move. And honestly, if you don't know what to do, defaulting to a developing move isn't bad. But it's clear that the bishop on b7, that doesn't really do anything here. Plus, you're blocking your rook. So it's anti-intuitive to play knight d7 because it's not technically a developing move. But as you see, it does two things. Boom, and then you, as you said, the knight is coming to e5. Okay, so Anne-Marie, aka Ladybug, no problem hearing me, good to know. So bishop b7, king h7, okay. G4, a little fancy. And now he goes to town with bishop E4. Holy moly. Woo! That's some heat. So the opponent believes him, and then instead it could have gone snip, snop, rop, and pop. It is pretty spicy. I think this is an important pawn, though. It's an important pawn that he's getting. And he's going to be threatening some kind of knight G5 stuff, too. So that does look like death. Okay, opponent believes him. Now, can we just pause here for a second? If White had been thinking, well, then he could have figured that out. But nota bene, the man was not thinking. He was just moving instantly. So now the bishop that was poor on b7 is now very free and active. Look, 81, I don't know what that does. I still like your knight d7 move. Okay, queen d7. That's not good, knight d5. We'll just take it, thank you very much. And now you blunder with e6. And you talk about f5, good move. Honestly, White's not threatening anything, so you can do anything here. I guess you want to watch out for bishop c5. But basically, White isn't doing anything. Queen b7 is a simple move to make. Boom. He misses it. Why did he miss it? Well, maybe it has something to do with the fact that he was moving too fast. Now you do f5, and now unfortunately they figure it out. fg. And now he takes here. Well, it's getting hot. Queen b7. Okay. And your opponent isn't thinking. Queen g3. You said thank you very much. Now, if your opponent was thinking that at least consider queen takes g4 here, but they were not. F1. Okay. 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 Bishop f8. Now, let's just say the obvious. A very tricky position. White should think for quite a long time here. He does not. He does not. This is a complicated one. If you were going to do this, you would want to know how you felt about the position, and you shouldn't feel good about it. Now, I don't actually know if this is, I would call this lost for White, because what should White do? Pronto, they need to pin the king to the back rank and play here. And so they might be able to survive, but your opponent is not thinking. Play c3, king g7, thank you very much. King f2, blunder, and now we go into the king and pawn endgame. Ladybug knows all about it. Ladybug knows all about this one, baby. Yep. So there it is. This is what happens when you move too fast. Someone's going to tell you, welcome to the dojo. I don't think ef5 is a mistake, by the way. You are doing fine. Now that's a mistake. You need to go back to king f6 and play g5. And now we kind of blew it here. Yeah. Now, the problem is, though, I don't know if you are winning this anymore. Let's look. g5, king f5, king c4. Maybe you are still winning. So let's just do a little math here. Boom, 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 boom. There's some interesting things happening here. We're going to go here, 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 here. Now, it is of critical importance, my friends, that the queen cannot come back to check. So White is going to get the pawn in the corner. Or the pawn over there. However, it turns out, to understand this endgame, that it's a big deal that this pawn can move. So the winning plan for black is to go here. Now, if you take this pawn, then it's a draw. This is a known draw. But you don't take that pawn. You go here. You go here. And see, if they had tried to stalemate themselves, they unfortunately have this pawn still. That's mater taters down potatoes. Now, if you actually, let's just make it a little bit more aesthetic. Whack. Yeah, buddy. All right, well done. This, actually, let's go back to your time graph real quick. Notice what happened to you. Now, your opponent was a complete chump and not thinking, but you had plenty of time. And when we got to this move 32, this position over here where you are winning after rook takes c5, but you are moving way too fast. Way too fast. There it is. So notice, you don't have to develop special chess skills to think. You do have to have practice in it, though. You have to realize, oh, Kraai says that thinking is actually kind of a skill, so I got to be thinking. I got to be practicing it. I got to get good at it. All of that's very true. Okay, so we did this. Let's continue to continue. This is D.W. Roth. He is in the Twitch chat. I got a YouTube chat and Twitch chat going on. Tapioca King says, the oldest problem, spending time well in endgames. That's right. All right, so DW says, I was going to wait to graduate until I completed more of the tasks and until I felt comfortable I wouldn't slide back in rating to a lower bucket. But after thinking about it more, I figured the senseis put a lot of thought into how they structured the cohort buckets and the criteria for graduation. Join the dojo to follow the plan, so time to trust the process. There we go. And congratulations to making it to 1,000, 1,100. It's not an easy task. All right. Let's give him a follow here. He's starting it up again. One of his sons started messing with him. He's doing strength training. Dang, dude. So I'm just thinking about a lot of this because, well, it started all, I kind of, I guess I would have said several months ago, I'd have been like, you got to be fit to play good chess. But then, the graduation show, we just had so many people in the Heavy Lifting Things Club who are making progress. And there's only like 50 some members in there that I was like, oh, I got to think about this. Something else is going on. I did some research, and there's strong argument to think that strength training isn't just good for your health, but it's good for your mind. It's surprising, because normally you think of strength guys and you think they're kind of dumb. You think, this guy's kind of dumb. But no, the evidence is starting to go the other way. So I'm going to make a video about that. And he said, yeah. All right. So that's D.W. Roth. He just started, really. He's doing great. Clubs, is he in that strength training club? Well, he's got to be in the heavy lifting things, too. He's got to be part of that group. All right. He's in Seattle. He's partying from that Super Bowl thing they had going on. So annotated games. Good. And then we got this guy right here. We got a time graph. Pretty short game, but his time looks fine. So, he's never done annotations. Great time to practice. All right, let's go to this game review modus. And we'll get into it. A little weird. Thank you. Poor. Right? Something like d6, knight c6 is the standard gambit here. Good move. And then this move is definitely kind of weird. Bishop c4. I wouldn't call it a loss of tempo. I would say you're giving back your pawn. Just take that pawn on d6. Now, I don't understand why we're giving bishop e6 an exclamation point. Black should take this pawn. And he doesn't. And now you should just take the pawn and say, I'll win the pawn. Thank you very much. You say, no, I'd like to lose a tempo. Now, that's a loss of tempo right there. I don't know what's going on. When nobody wants to take the pawn on e5. Okay, now we take it. No. Well, now we don't have to take it, actually. We're doing Little weird again. Why are we letting him play DE, threatening our queen? Poor move. All right, I can get behind knight d4. I can get behind that. I can get behind that one too. Yeah, simplify. Use the extra pawn to win the endgame. Good. Now a blunder. Poor move. Queen g4. I would have preferred just bishop e7, just to keep my life simple. Poor move. Oh, that's a good move. Rook takes e7. Bang. That wasn't it. Checkmate. That's a good dojo game right there. Yep. Good morning, Cat Nasty. All right. Charles From, I can. Your chisel 76 in the dojo. Sure, let's do it, bud. All right, we're going to go down a little bit. Chisel 76. Here he is. Haven't been through with login. All my activity. Thorough. But have been training fairly regularly using several dojo resources. Boom, let's do it. Now, the first thing, Chisel, well, he said it himself. He said he wasn't logging. He was religious for a little while and then lost religion over here. Now, his USCF is doing great, dude. Look at that thing. Are you a kid, Chisel, that you're improving at this rate? Because that is very impressive. Your chess com is similar. And I'm very happy you're doing the USCF, because this is just a bunch of cheaters there at 2,300. Right? So, clubs, Chisel, where are you at? US evening. Oh, he's over there, kind of. That's near Pennsylvania, or Philadelphia, I mean. All right, so that's where Chisel is. And now we got low. Oh, Chisel, we definitely want some newer games here. We're gonna look at a game here, bud, but we want some newer games. Did I miss anything? No, that's where it is. So, bam. Now, what are we saying? This is all theory until move 16? What are we saying, Chisel? All right. So, this is a longer game. That's where you get the bump at move 40. And they get an extra 30 minutes at move 40. So that makes sense. He's playing somebody who's not a thinker, right? Okay, so let's get into it. Let's go game review window. All right. This is very fancy stuff. Good. Good. Oh my gosh, this is pretty hectic. Now, he isn't saying anything, but I do believe this is kind of, I don't know if I want to call it theory, but I know this is a well-explored thing. And when you're 2,000, then sometimes there's going to be some variations like this. Castles, c6, bishop d3. Now, bishop d3 makes me a little nervous about some kind of discovery on our bishop. This guy plays knight f5. All right, queen c2 played pretty quickly, and I definitely think it's time. Well, some real mess here. I'm just looking. This is hectic. So, in terms of the annotation, I would have liked to examine these two moves. I don't think they work, but they're close enough that we should be thinking about it. All right, so you went back, very natural. And now he does this move. Opponent says this is prep. Okay. So one of the problems of a variation like this is maybe this guy is got some kind of weird prepped out thing. But also, we want to spend a moment thinking about what's happening, right? And your move knight d2, where you do give a good think here, is the most natural move, right? So I don't know if we want to feel too bad about knight d2. All right, knight d2, boom, boom. And he goes back. I think there's a lot to talk about here. Knight f5. And now you play knight e2, which we could argue about it, but it is a very natural move because the knight is poor on e2. And you want to bring it towards the king's side. You want to support d4. He plays this. I don't know. Queen c2. Okay. And you say black's better. I don't think black is better here. I'm not even sure I like queen e7. So you played rook f3. And knight g3 we got to talk about. We got to at least talk about knight g3 to f5. It just looks like a very powerful business. That's a big knight. That's a big knight over there. All right, rook f3. So the issue is we have to do something with our knight, and maybe the key variation could be knight g3, f6 maybe. He's got to do something. And I like ef6 as well, but of course knight f5, queen e6 is the other thing that you could spend some time looking at. I like white. So rook f3, you took forever. Now he does this, and now essentially you lost the tempo and your knight didn't get fixed. Queen e7, and now rook f3. We still need to activate the knight. All right, so this is passive. I don't know why we're not activating the knight. Now, at this stage of the game, maybe we could argue that he's going to play g6 on us. Maybe. But there's still a lot of spice going on, and that's a little bit of a weakening of his position. He's the one who takes it to the endgame. I don't think his rook is great here. I have no idea why we're not playing knight g3 at some point. King f2 makes sense here. I still think you're fine. King f1. I don't know why we're not playing king f2. I still think you're fine. D3, rook a7. Are we in trouble now? Good question. Okay. And now he's got bishop c3. But as you say here, you're still in it. So notice, even though you've played a lot of passive moves, even here, you have chances to hold this bad boy. All right, we are also reaching move 41, so you have a little bit of time here, and maybe you could argue you played it too fast, because this looks like a cheap attempt. He wants to play c5, and he just needs to fix his junk. Good move, h5, and this is probably lost. He plays c takes d4, I guess. All right. Oh my God, that move scares me. Rook b1. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me yet. I don't understand that move. Candidates here are like rook b7 and stuff. Notice here, this analysis. We need to do more analysis. This is still hot here. But why are we doing g4? It looks to me like we're just creating a weakness. No one knows. I don't know. Now knight f6. Whew. All right, we have a very hot endgame. I don't like this. Rook c7. He comes up. The obvious move here for black would be to play rook b3 here. Rook b4. Rook b6. Check. Oh, it's hot. And now he has a choice. Rook e5 or rook g4. He goes this way. And now we have a simple question. Is it a win or a draw? And it's close. You make the correct move here. King e2 is the correct move. So by the way, this is where we want to talk about it. Because it is very close to being lost here. King e3 would have been more comforting to my soul. All right, let's get into it. Here, King f2, good. And now you've achieved the Philidor. Great, dude. Great. Let's see if you were able to do it. Good. Good. You knew what you were doing. This is great. Great. Okay. So, something I want to stress just in terms of chess improvement is that this was a very fascinating endgame, and there's a lot more that you could do here to analyze this business here. Okay? So, in general, for example, black shouldn't be giving you the option to take the bishop. The bishop, you know, that bishop should be moving. He's got passed pawns. Keep that bishop on the board. So that would be good if we had more annotations there. And the other thing I want you to be thinking about is you played so many moves that were passive, where you didn't activate the knight. And that shows, so that should be a key thing for your chess progress. Chisels, I'm happy I could do this. Hopefully you're still here. Hopefully you're still here. Anyways, great. I'll mark it. I did mark it as reviewed. So even if you left, you can watch it later. Tapioca King is also in the chat. He's coming up. But first we have Cataman. Cataman said, I started following the ChessDojo Training Program more diligently, and the results are showing, especially OTB, where I play most of my games. All right, let's take a look. This is the Cataman. Look at this. Look at this man. Before, not diligent. And now he's going through a good period of New Year's resolution diligence here with the Cataman. Great. Clubs. He's an adult improver. Tell us where you are, Cataman. Something about yourself. All right. So we got a game. This is going to be an OTB. I think this might be the first OTB of the day. He's over there in Milan. I think somewhere around Milan is where they're doing the Olympic Games, I think. So here we go. They did not do, he did not enter the times. It's usually kind of hard, especially when you're first doing it. But okay, let's get into it. Fine. A little weird. What's weird? Well, you're not developing your coconuts. Okay. A little weird. Okay. Knight d5. Okay. Good. So basically, black lost the tempo on a kind of common setup. Knight d4, controversial, allowing bishop g5. Okay. Snip, snap. Okay. Should we have done this? Probably. Probably. Knight e2, queen e2, snip, snap, and now he goes knight d7. Interesting position. You played f4. I think d4 makes a lot of sense. I think rook ac1 makes a lot of sense. But okay, f4, and now you make a positional mistake here, f5. What you should realize about f5 is that you need to curate your bishop. Your bishop is the dude who's not feeling great about life now. So you could continue rook c1, d4, h4. With all those moves, you should say to yourself, hey, I need to activate my boy. After f5, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, if he gives me 100,000 tempos, I'll get that in. But my friend, even then, like his knight's going to be very strong and your bishop weak. All right, now, knight c5, a little controversial. Why can't you play b4? Why can't you whack him? I don't understand b3. Now you do d4. Now he's going to look at your e4, your business. I don't like rook f4. Queen b5. Maybe, but he's just going to get whacked with bishop f1. Good move. b4. You say this is a grief and that you're now worse. Maybe. But queen a5, by the way, that's just not good chess. That's not good chess, buddy. You're just setting yourself up. All right. All right, so now, big question, tactical moment. Queen c4, and now some questions about b5. I don't know about the b5 stuff. I don't understand that at all. That looks like a computer move to me. So knight d7. Thank you very much. And it looks like we're getting toasted. But, wow, this is interesting. So, he thought he crushed you, and in fact, rook g4, he's toast. And your bishop is the hero of the day because he gets to defend. Whew! Cat Nasty asks, as someone that doesn't have more than approximately 1 to 2 hours a day to truly study chess, would the dojo program be a good fit for me? Absolutely. I mean, 1 to 2 hours a day, that's amazing. That's a lot of time. If you do 1 to 2 hours a day, you're going to dominate with the dojo. And if you, let's say you did have 1 to 2 hours a day and you didn't do the dojo, then you would be spending a lot of that time thinking about what do I study? And you'd end up doing soft things. The dojo is going to direct you to do some sweat work. And 1 hour a day, great, great. As a general rule, I would say what we've said at the dojo is that a minimum, if you're going to ask that, what is the minimum? Then we would say like 3 hours a week. That's pretty soft. There's no doubt about it. But like as a bare minimum, that's what we're talking about. All right, Tapioca King is in the dojo, in the chat, I mean, in the Twitch chat. So, Tapioca says, after crossing the elite chess threshold again, it's time to graduate once more. Hopefully my chess.com rating will start catching up, and I intend to make reaching 1350 a focus for this cohort before graduating again. I think my success this time is mainly down to getting in longer games, 45-30, in the round robins, and I'm getting used to calculating more and deeper lines while still blunder checking my chosen moves. The tactics books have been giving me a hard time, but I do feel like I'm missing a few less tactical resources than before. I'll try and end up the amount I'm doing for this cohort. I think I know what he's trying to say. Logical chess move by move has been great for structuring development into attacks on castled kings, and I'm looking forward to the next book as well. So, okay, actually, let me give just a thought that's been brewing in my head here for a second. This book has been, for this level, so between 1,000 and 1,200, really popular in the dojo. And we then did a statistical analysis of like which material helped people the most. And that was the book that came out. That was a couple years ago we did it. But anyways, we haven't done a statistical study since. Anyways, I was thinking that I want to do maybe that book as part of our live classes. So this month, I'm doing a board visualization workshop, but I'm thinking next month I might do the logical chess move by move, just to go through the book with people and talk about it, you know, at a leisurely pace. Okay, here's Tapioca King. Does this mean that he likes tapioca? I guess. Maybe that's a different reference I'm not getting. All right, Tapioca King, tell us maybe a little about yourself. You're looking great with the study. Since October, it's looking really good. Yeah. And notice what Tapioca's saying. He's saying, I want to do 11. Now he's saying 11 hours before it was 7, 11, and he's basically doing it. That's amazing. It's very good. He's in the nose crew, the UK crew. Okay. Now we got some My Games. Oh, Tapioca, tell me which one. Tell me which one I should be doing. I have no idea. Maybe this winter round robin is more recent. Top one, that's what he says. All right, let's do the most recent game there. Open wide my door. Well, buddy, if you want us to, we will. All right, look at this. Tapioca King, you're in for a mouthful this time, buddy. So as we can see, now maybe he's just winning. We'll see what the actual story is. But it's not just the players under 1,000 Dojo, 1250chess.com, who are having grief with thinking. Let's just see how it happens, though. Let's just see how it goes. We're going to leave the time window open. Fine so far. Fine. That looks poor. Okay, yeah, Queen B3 is more reasonable. Okay, you took on B2, which is fine. You could consider playing C4 first. There's arguments for why C4 first might be simpler, just because it won't allow white to ever open the position. Fine. Okay, well, maybe I'm not getting it, but the reason this move scares me a little bit is, isn't this allowing rook c1 and rook takes c5? Right, so maybe I'm missing something, but in this position, the obvious move to me would be takes, just to alleviate our grief. All right, so I think he's missing rook c1. Terrible move. Queen takes, knight takes. Notice that Tapioca King is playing somebody who's a little lower rated. And I like c4 a lot. I can't imagine c4 is a bad move. Knight c5 doesn't scare me. And I think you just take that thing, rip it off. What's wrong with the bishop takes? It's a developing move. It's a developing move, son. Take that thing. Maybe play knight e4 next or something. You got everything going on. This thing's a beast. All right, so that doesn't look right to me. Now he's going to try to come around the mountain. All right, you spend more time dealing with him. Now he's messing with you a little bit. Why did this happen? Because we didn't develop properly. Now you finally took on c5. Bishop b6. I don't know. I don't know about this move. First of all, nothing was threatened yet. And if you were going to put the bishop somewhere, we might want to eventually go here. So this is premature. And now you do a funny thing with knight b8. Why not knight d7? Talk to that thing. Get it out of there. That's kind of weird to me. Knight e5. I guess you're still doing... It's making me nervous with bishop a4. Okay. And we'd like to believe that you're still winning this thing. This guy, though, he doesn't care about developing nothing. You said, thank you very much. Reasonable move. Oh, that's a bad one. So with knight d7, I think we're going to say, hey, buddy, what are you doing? That's, no reason to be doing that. You have so many other moves. It's not just rook d6. You could play knight e4. He's not threatening anything. Now, maybe you're still winning after this, by the way. Maybe. All right, I don't like h5. g4 won't do anything. You're just going to plant it. So, look. Now, here's the thing I'm going to yell at you for. Okay? We are now at move 24. And this is where you stop thinking. All right? So, a very important thing to realize that you are not alone in this, that so many players at this level are going to stop thinking, and you're one of them. Why do people stop thinking? I have some speculation. I have some speculation. People stop thinking because, one, they're kind of tired. There's only so much thinking a person can do before they get exhausted and make impulsive moves. Two, they're playing online because they're getting little dings and whistles. It's harder for them to concentrate. And because it's harder, it's easier to make impulsive moves quickly than it is to actually think at the board. Next up, the end game. A lot of people are just terrified of the end game. They feel like they don't know what to do. But look at this one. This one's easy. What do we want? We're going to activate our king, threaten the pawn. What do we want to ultimately do? We want to run these bad boys down. So h5 is an example of a reactive move. It doesn't spoil anything, honestly, but it's a reactive move because there's no point. There's no point in h5. We're not afraid of g4, so we're losing time. All right, the guy plays a4, probably a good move. King c6 was going to be a hell of a drug. Okay, I don't understand rook ac1. Way too fast. Does it do anything? No. Good move. Okay, thank you very much. Now king c5, please. Notice this. They say the rook is terrible as a blockader, and it's true. Good move. Rook a3, that's not doing much. Now king b4, good move. Good move. Good move. I like that you didn't take it. King b2, thank you very much. Goodbye. That's not it. All right, we're going to stop there. Black wins. Well done, Tapioca King. So let's just say both players stopped thinking when they got to the end game. One of the easiest things to learn, right? And of course, the other things like knight d7, that's just a blunder that will come with time. You'll stop doing it. Okay. So, all right, here we go. We got two more because we already did chisel. I think Sweet Blues might be in the chat too. Thank you for being here, Tapioca. Ultra says, can you please take a look at my first OTB game in a year and a half versus Mark, okay? Right, I will do so. I really enjoy keeping an accurate training log, and the dojo gives me that chance with this great site. All my time entered is very accurate, and it also helps motivate me as I'm always trying to break my 28 hours a week goal that I set for myself. Dang, dude, that's a lot. In 2 months' time, I've completed almost all the requirements for the 13-14 and have since decided to start working on the courses and books of the 12-13 and 14-15. Things started off slowly 2 months ago when I came back to chess, but I have since found a good group of people to train with. Amazing. Amazing. Oh, and Ladybug is starting to do logical chess with Dr. Pop, which it's another argument for me to do that class next month. Now, this is Ultra, who is truly taking Ultra to a new level. You can see here, the man he's on a mission. And dude, look at that. Oh, he did 41 hours last week. 40. This man is working a regular job. He's working a regular job. Okay, amazing. Yeah, he wants to break 1,500 USCF this year. Okay, amazing. All right, so let's take a look here. USCF, he's at 1253. Higher on the lead chess. So it probably will take a moment for him to catch up. But for him to make 1,500 USCF, if he's already that lead chess, there's strong arguments to think he can do it. Strong arguments. Clubs. Heat map heroes. Okay. Tell us where you're from, maybe. It'll tell us a little bit about your quest. And he said... there was somebody I thought... Mark. He wants me to look at Mark. There he is. So he's playing a higher rated player here. And we don't have times. I encourage you, when you're playing OTB, to keep the times. And let's go game review. Okay, good move so far. Okay. C5, a little controversial. Bishop d2, and now he plays queen f5, which doesn't look good. So he's played two moves, basically, which look poor. I do know that in this position, queen f5 is an older move. When I say older, like the old-time GMs used to do it, it's a fine, interesting position. But this doesn't make any sense because now you pop him with a tempo here. And now you pop him again, and you pop him again. This is why, my friends, you need to develop your pieces. All right, queen g4. He's in bad shape here. So, you castle, and your position is definitely amazing. But this would be a great moment to know what the time situation on the clock was. Because you might just be wasting him pronto here. And it looks like you found it with this knight g5 move. We should expect to find something here, whether it's h3 or something else. Okay, so the guy is going to continue to not develop his coconuts. And honestly, it's a hard road where he's at right now. And now you took, which I don't like at all, that you took this pawn. You say, since I'm losing this pawn, I have to recapture to keep material even. But look, he's so far down in development here. If you just intuitively speaking, if you play bishop d3, and I don't know, he goes here or something, then that should be your default question. We can do other things. We can consider rook e1 and rook a d1 maybe too. But you have time in return for this pawn that he stole from you, right? You're totally good in this position. But this one, oh no. Now, for example, your king went from developed to undeveloped, and his king from undeveloped to developed. Now the king belongs there. All right, so he decides to do this one. Good move. Probably fair. Knight d7 looked a little bit more accurate. Knight king e7 also looked good. Okay, good move. That doesn't look right to me. No. Okay, so now you're back in the game. All right, bishop b5. And here, what we want to say is here, first of all, it's a very spicy position. But number two is that he is using his king. So I just want you to observe that. I would want to see the time graphs here because as we've seen with other people, we got people here who are moving way too fast. Way too fast. And here is a precise moment where we want you to be thinking about how, if at all, you can create some kind of drama for the black pieces. I don't understand a4 as an example. I don't know what you're doing. Maybe you have some idea, but I don't know what it is. Rook fd1 comes together as a thought. Maybe rook b2, intending rook fb1, rook b4, similar. Yeah. All right, so I don't understand this. Simple chess. I don't understand that one. King c7. Notice, he's just playing normal moves, and now you're in trouble. Okay. h5, I don't know. He's got a lot of moves. Bishop e4 now or something. Bishop d5. This is a little too fancy for me. Why aren't you playing rook fb1? Okay. Now you play a5. I'm not sure what the idea is. King e3 looks natural. Here he comes. Interesting move, I guess. Yeah, interesting move. I don't know what this whole h4, rook h5 thing he's doing. Good. I don't know about that. Check to the miserable king. And then he's allowing you this c6 move, huh? That's a very nice one. Look at that, c6, and he's got rook a5 and or rook b5 next. Love to see the time graph here, right? King e3. King e3, definitely more natural. I don't know what we're doing. We need a plan. I don't know what plan is. Rook g6? Oh, I don't know what's happening anymore. We're just hanging all our stuff now. Oh, no. No, no. We did this? Oh, man. All right. And now we have a draw. Amazing. Ah. Oh, I couldn't find it, Karen Z. But I did find I did find a game. It's on the second page. Wait a second. Hold on. So we're about to do Sweet Blues, by the way. We're just going to look at Karen Z for a second. Let me go back to the grad show thing. Okay, so games. Oh, he's got so many that the My Games was pushed way back in here. But there's no My Games. Yeah, we're fixing this. There's no... People, the games go into My Games. That's where your annotated games go. That's where they belong. All right, so... One more, this is Sweet Blues, a quick graduation after I crept above 1,800 FIDE. Very impressive. Please have a look at my most recent game against Hamed. Look at that. He's in My Games. He knows what's going on. This is Sweet Blues here. All right. Sweet Blues is in the chat. 25 years old from Sweden. Started in 24. Wow. So very impressive I mean, that's amazing that you've managed to get this high in just like a year. Maybe a little bit more than a year at this point. Okay, so amazing. And looks like this is new to FIDE. Maybe it's provisional still. In any case, still very impressive. And chess comes a little lower. All right. So I think he said something about a Hamed dude. There he is, Hamed. This is Victor Shundal. I'm going to go to Sweden someday, but that's one of the places on my list. I've never been. So this is a 1 + 30. Very good. Very good time marking, right? And it looks like both players kind of started playing on the increment here at the end. Okay, good. Let's go to the game review. All right. All right, CD4. Unless we have a specific idea with this CD4, it's a little controversial because later the knight will go to E5 and the rook will go to E1 in what we'll call a good Carlsbad structure for white. But I do know that there are systems where you do take. Queen B3, Queen B6. And now I definitely think queen takes and bishop b5, as you note, is at least a nice position for white. He does this instead. I'm not sure I know what he's doing. Good. And you were guessing that castles would hang a pawn. Okay, that's probably true. Castles, h6. I don't like it. Why are we doing it? So, in general, we don't want to play h6, and in general, white doesn't want to move a developed piece twice. And you write rook fd8, and you're fine. I totally agree. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, you're doing great. Okay, so h6, we're going to call that a minor loss of time. However, white doesn't have a plan here. That's a little chump head's problem at the moment. I might have found a genius move here, actually. When I was thinking about this. It might be too highfalutin, but bishop c2 is kind of fun. That might be too fancy, Might be too fancy, but bishop c2 takes knight d4. I don't know. I don't know if we get away with it. Maybe he has some tricks or something. I just thought that would be fun. Okay, h6, knight f3, castles, rook fd1. He doesn't have a plan. In general, we want to put the rook on e1. His challenge conceptually is that his pieces, he's kind of committed them to the queen side where they didn't belong. And in this Carlsbad structure, you want to play through the e5 square. Oh, he does do this bishop c2. I think this is fine. Okay. I'm not sure about a4. Okay. Opponent playing very cautious chess. So you took on e5. I don't think it hurts you either. Bishop d6. Now, I don't know about that. Maybe just rook fd8. Yeah, so here notice you're trying to fight his point and his strong point, and it could end bad. So you had now a period where you didn't know what to do. I don't think this was quite correct because he didn't even think about your knight e4. Normally you would take with the bishop here. He takes with the pawn. Good move. I like that. Good move. Now he commits a weakness. I don't know. Queen h4 looks powerful. Yeah. Knight g5 looks weird. Why are we doing that to ourselves? Okay. a5, I'm not sure I get it. This guy likes to be safe. And now you said you're better. Both sides have kind of a funky minor piece here. Queen a4. Now, if I was doing the annotation, I would try to maybe find something else besides queen d2. I don't know. Because it looks like he just lost a pawn. All right. So now this is the stage of the game where both players are kind of playing on increments. So we should expect mistakes from both sides. Queen c4 definitely is a nicer move. Good. Now, I don't know about h4. Isn't he pushing you back to where you kind of want to be? I don't know what he's doing. Good move. And now he's going to blow it. He's going to blow it. Boom. But I think you are winning at that point. Okay. That was great. Really well done. So, yeah, Sweet Blues in the chat saying he was struggling to come up with a plan. Both sides, by the way. If we just start from this position, both sides didn't have a sense of what to do, and Bishop b5 kind of is the beginning of him trying to create some junk on c6, but I don't know how it's supposed to go down. Whereas if you take and play Bishop b5, you've got pretty good long-term pressure. In general, though, if the queens are going to stay on the board, White wants to eventually switch to an attack on the king, and he had no sense of that. He was playing moves like rook fd1. Okay, my friends, that was a great graduation show. A little shorter than most shows, but I needed the break. The last month was like 30-some people every time, and then I was dying. So happy to do it. Thank you, Sweet Blues, for being here. We're going to raid somebody. I don't know who it is. Let's raid friend of the dojo, Lafong Hua. He is a master of the bullet. He once tried to teach me bullet. I was unteachable. Unteachable. Wait, I spelled his name wrong. Raid Lafong Hua. There we go. Oh, I keep spelling it wrong. Is my G not working? Let's try this again. Raid Lafong. Thank you. You already have a raid in progress. Well, there we go. All right, bye, everybody.